From meeting the domestic consumption demand to providing enough for the international market, Nigeria's ability to utilize its gas reserves has yet again come to the fore. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Focus On, where we put the spotlight on the 11th Practical Nigerian Content. This year's theme explores ways to deepen the opportunity for indigenous players in the gas value chain. I'm Akin Obakeye. Nigeria kicked off its decade of gas last year, and this was bolstered by the Petroleum Industry Act, which many believe will spur its aspirations for a gas-powered economy by 2030. Nigeria's proven natural gas reserve currently stands at 209.5 trillion cubic feet, but only a few has been utilized to meet both local and export demand. Some key gas projects are currently being developed to deepen natural gas utilization domestically to increase energy sufficiency and reduce energy poverty in the country. But beyond this, how has the Nigerian government sent this message across?
One of the strategy government in particular is using to drive that in order to achieve it is first the declaration of the decade of gas. That has created the awareness for people to know that our own transition or destination fuel is gas. And that has been announced, flagged off by the president himself. Now, let me give you some bit of data. Since that pronunciation of the decade of gas, we have moved our domestic LPG consumption from less than 300 tons to almost 1 million within this short period of time. And yesterday you were at the conference where people outlined the roadmap with regards to the decade of gas. And we believe that in the next couple of years, domestic utilization of the gas will increase astronomically if we go by that program that was announced yesterday. So that's part of what government is doing. On the other hand, also, of course, the investors have their issues, which they did put on the table in terms of the gas pricing, in terms of how do you treat a nag well, where it is purely gas. Will you treat a nag well with the same way you will treat an associated gas, as it were? So all those discussions are on, and people are bringing them to the front burner. And I believe government is listening. And the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources has been very bullish with regards to pushing the gas penetration. And I mean, coming home in NCDMB, we've taken advantage of that decade of gas pronouncement. 75% of the partnerships that we have been involved in is all on gas. Be it our partnership with Brass Fertilizer for the methanol plant in Brass, be it our partnership with Transcell, which is a local company building a 5,000 metric ton storage capacity for LPG, is on gas. Be it our partnership with Butane Energy that is now building mother stations and also refill stations for LPG in 10 northern states of the Federation. Be it our partnership with MOB, which is also situated there in Niger State to ensure the LPG penetration in the country. So everything we got involved in, be it our partnership with a company in Kwale for 300 million scopes gas into the OB3. So we've been focused on that. People say NCDMB has been the first mover because we realize the importance of gas. Hence, all our partnerships to catalyze gas in the country is been moving even before the declaration of the decade of gas. So we've been the first mover.
Some major missing links identified by stakeholders are the availability of basic gas infrastructure, the regulation to guide gas penetration and adoption, as well as the readily available market for gas export.
To deepen gas utilization, we decided to focus on in-country infrastructure. This is very critical for us. Today, anytime we supply less than 1.1 billion scoop of gas into Lagos area, there is crisis. Just imagine a country with 200 TCF of gas is struggling to provide 1.1 billion scoop of gas. that we can't deliver the 3.6 that the NLG requires, and that the billions of scope that the world wants, simply because we never focus on this. And today, everything's changing. There's new line of sight. The finance industry is seeing gas in a different light. We know that the value is for us. It's in gas. And our partners recognize this, some of them, so let me not generalize. So not everybody agrees, and everybody wants to put his money into it, but some do. And very critical mass has been gathered. And we believe that we'll deliver on this, so that ultimately our country will prosper, will provide energy to the global energy market, will bring prosperity to West Africa. That is why we're very focused on the Trans-Morocco pipeline. Don't mind the namings. But this is the pipeline that will leave Brass, your village, Simbi, all the way through 11 countries into Morocco, and potentially with 3 billion scope of gas, it can supply gas into Europe. And with this massive endeavor, in all fronts, both in the domestic market today, completely undersupplied. But I'm afraid that if we start all the power plants that we have in the country today, gas powered plants today, I know that we do not have ability to give the gas that they will require today. But as line of sight, we will complete our major pipeline, the OB3. It will be completed. By January, latest by the end of the quarter next year, we will complete the River Niger crossing. It's been a very challenging technical issue, but we believe that we'll complete it. By doing this, we'll be introducing additional capacity for 2 billion scope into our network. And that way, for a short term, 3 years, 4 years, we will not be having issues around supply of gas into domestic market, because it will feed the West, it will create the abilities to feed into the Eastern network, and of course also supply the AKK pipeline all the way to Kano. And that way, we will have robust gas supply infrastructure, enough to keep our needs, meet our needs in the next 2 to 3 years as we continue to build more and more and bigger infrastructure, while working with the rest of our international community and our business partners to create the floating LNGs, expand in LNG so that we can also supply the international market.
It's been over a year. I mean, we're now in 2022. Earlier, we've seen the coming on stream of the Dangote fertilizer plant, a big industrial plant that uses significant amount of gas, with gas supply coming from GSPS signed with Chevron, with Shell. That's a huge investment and delivery during this decade of gas. We've also seen a lot of development around the Nigerian network code. The network code will provide the right regulatory framework to ensure that gas injected is delivered where it is expected and in the volumes that it is also expected. So it's another solid platform that is being sort of developed. Based on the PIA also, you've seen the transition of NNPC into NNPC Limited with various subsidiaries, and like the GE Group CEO has said, NNPC is open for business. Energy for today, energy for tomorrow. And I think it's just a lot of things coming together to sort of continue to push Nigeria in the right direction with respect to accelerating its gas resources to create employment, create jobs, add to the economy. That's what the decade of gas is really about. It's not a political statement. It's something that the industry believes in, and the industry has taken over, that we must continue to drive the decade of gas year after year until we get Nigeria to the point where our gas production and our gas consumption reflects an economy that is dependent on gas.
With projects like the $2.8 billion Ajaokuta-Kaduna Kano pipeline project and the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, Nigeria remains optimistic to power its economy with gas by 2030 and be a major gas exporter.
Every project has its own peculiar challenges, and this is not an exception. We have been faced with significant challenges, especially in the security. But thank God that the client, NNPC, and the government, they are solely supporting OISAV in ensuring that we tackle this challenge. There are certain areas that we cannot access, and it's having an knock-on effect on the planned schedule. However, in a collaborative manner, the client, the NNPC, OISAV, have also increased the resources to be able to see that we are still on target. It's still targeted by next year 2023, we'll be able to at least commission the main line. So there's an intense effort, commitment, and dedication to ensure that the target that we promised to Nigerians will be actualized. And this project, like you said, is a very significant project for the nation. It's of national interest, and a lot of economic activities are going to sprung up from there. A lot of industrialization are going to come out from there. The spur line from Ajaokuta all the way from the to Abuja is going to expand some industrialization activities to a power plant in Abuja and a power plant at Ajaokuta. And during this construction, a lot of small-scale enterprises have already been benefited. There has been an increase in employment. People are meaningfully engaged, and that helps the overall economy.
Okay, in terms of infrastructure, we're not there. We're quite behind. Okay, if you take the National Master Plan, okay, we have the AKK, which is currently ongoing. The OB3 has been completed. Okay, and then you have the QIT to Ajaokuta, which is yet to come up. So you could see that if you look at it, what you have on ground now, maybe about, on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe about 2 to 3 over 10, okay, of the infrastructure right now. So you have a lot to do. And this needs to be done, quite fast. I thank the current administration, on their insistence on making sure that the AKK project commences and is going this way. I mean, the way it's going by the end of 2023, we might well be, celebrating the arrival of gas in Abuja, and that alone will boost a lot of things. And from the ongoings right now, the QIT to Ajaokuta, I believe is receiving attention. Once you link up that and link up the help site, okay, from the OB3, I mean, we are going somewhere. So in terms of infrastructure, we're not there now, but I see a lot of effort towards getting us there within the next 2 to 3 years. And that's it's commendable as far as I'm concerned. It's a big plus for the current administration.
With some of the peculiar challenges in the oil and gas sector, how well do you think this is actually impeding the growth of local industry players in the oil and gas sector?
Okay, local industry players. Okay, let's talk along. There are many strands to it, so let's talk along the gas to power strand. For me, that's the dream of every African nation. Whatever you have as a resource, find a way to use it to solve your power problem, so I can encourage investment, isn't it? Okay, so gas. We just talked about the infrastructure level. I know that there are many local players who are warming up, waiting for this gas to be made available or brought to their locality so that they can distribute and, also be part of the gas to power projects and all that. But the truth of the matter is that it will all be a mirage if we don't solve the problem of our transmission problem in the power sector. Okay, so you could get the gas there, you have a power station, but you're not able to, transmit what you're generating. Currently, that is the case. And I understand the federal government is doing something towards that, but much more needs to be done before the infrastructure becomes, what it should be, and then we'll start distributing. That time lapse should be taken to get the transmission issues resolved so that we can have a smooth sail. But if we solve that, you can have a smooth gas to power. Everything can follow. For me, that's the lacry.
As Nigeria remains conscious of its role in the global energy mix, gas has been identified as its destination fuel. With a few more years left for the decade of gas drive, eyes on Africa's largest economy to see how well it will utilize its energy potential. That's all we can take on this episode. I'm Akin Obakeye. Until next time, it's bye for now.